Hello folks and welcome to my channel. It's James here, and this morning for 2 weeks in a row on a Sunday I'm going to go through my weekly watches. Now last week I decided I was going to talk about movies that I'd watched over the last couple of weeks, and to be honest with you, I didn't feel that went quite as well as I'd like. And the reason for that is probably because the movies weren't as fresh in my mind as they would be if you've just watched them this week. So I made a conscious decision this week to try and watch a reasonable amount of movies instead of sitting on Netflix and scrolling, or sitting on YouTube and scrolling through shorts, or watching some YouTube videos that I didn't really wonder what I'm talking about, like just random ones, and you just suddenly go down a rabbit hole. And I found myself doing that a lot over the past month or so. And I decided to make a conscious decision that I wasn't going to do that. And I was going to put on movies and watch them, and watch movies that perhaps had escaped my attention previously, and also ones that I really enjoy. And again, last week, I don't think I spoke about the movies in great detail, and I felt, that it didn't turn out for a good video. I felt anyway. If you watched it and felt it was good, then that's okay. But I just felt that it went down the wrong path from what I'm trying to achieve with the weekly watches. So I think I'm going to try and do this once a week, whether I've watched 3, 2, 1, however many movies that I've watched. I think I'll try and do it on a weekly basis and get some consistency in talking about the movies that I've watched. So, with that being said, I've got my cup of tea here in my nice Harry Potter cup, and I also decided before I spoke about these movies today that I would look them up, and just to get a little bit of details on them that maybe that I've missed, and maybe that might be interesting, or not interesting, just, to make my awareness of the movie better now that I've watched it. And I found myself looking in detail at some of the things about the movies more than I thought. So I ended up spending 20, 30 minutes doing that. And I found it a useful task, because I don't really know about directors and things like that. I just watch movies, and sometimes I pick up a little bit about directors and things like that. So we'll just go into the order I log these movies on Letterboxd. This isn't necessarily the order that I watch them in, and the reason for that is I quite often forget to log them, but then I remember. So we'll start off with the first one that I watched on Letterboxd, which is one I watched on Disney Plus. I've actually seen, when I say I'm going down a rabbit hole on YouTube Shorts, I've seen YouTube Shorts of this movie, and that's what's actually made me want to watch it. But it has been on my radar for some time, and that is The Guardian, and that stars Kevin Costner and Ashton Kutcher. And it's basically the story of the US Coast Guard helicopter rescue service, but more specifically, the dive swimmers that go into the water and help people when their boats are or they're in danger in any way. And Kevin Costner's character plays a older diver who has just went through an accident, who's a decorated officer, and he goes to teach at a dive school. It sort of reminds me a bit of An Officer and a Gentleman. But The Officer and Gentleman focuses on the character of the trainee, whereas this focuses on the character mainly of the instructor himself. But it's just got a similar sort of plot to Officer and a Gentleman, I felt. Is it a good movie? I thought it was a decent movie. I didn't think it was anything spectacular. But before I go into that, I'll tell you a couple of facts about it. It's directed by Andrew Davis, who I didn't know directed Under Siege, The Fugitive, and Chain Reaction, some movies that I really enjoy. It's 139 minutes long, and it was made in 2006. And I would normally hold up a copy of it, but I don't actually own The Guardian, and that's when I seen it on Disney Plus. I thought I would watch it there. Now, I'm starting to get criterias for movies that would go in my collection. Is The Guardian one that I would put in my collection? And I base that on rewatchability. Now, would I watch that again? Yes, I would. Would I watch it again in the near future? Possibly. And that's why I would add this movie to my collection, or I will do eventually. And also, Kevin Costner is one of my favourite actors. But what I did think about The Guardian and the story of the diver, as I say, was a bit long. I think Roy always says the criticism of Kevin Costner movies is they are a bit long, and maybe that's placing a point with me that there is some that could be a little bit shorter. Saying that, I did watch the whole movie. I was engaging with it. I just thought there was a couple of bits that could have been a bit shorter. But yeah, it was a rewatchable movie, so I would like to add that to my collection. So that was the first one I watched. Now, as I was saying, I was trying to watch movies that I wanted, that I haven't watched before, or for a very long time, and I really wanted to watch because people talk about them all the time. And I started off with the Amityville Horror of 2005 with Melissa George and Ryan Reynolds. So I'll give you a couple of facts about that I wrote down. And I would hold it up, but again, this one's not in my collection. What did I write down for this? Oh yes, okay. So it's directed by Andrew Douglas, who I know hasn't directed anything of note that I've seen, and it was 90 minutes long, and it was launched in 2005. Now I have seen this movie, the 2005 one, and I seen it originally about 2007, 2008. I probably say this story quite a lot, but my daughter, who was like three or four at the time, was in nursery with my wife, and I had to go and pick them up when they were finished nursery, because my daughter went to nursery with my wife. And next door to it, there was a Blockbuster, so I always used to arrive maybe 15-20 minutes early, get a parking space, and then I always found myself going into the Blockbuster and browsing their movies, their rentals and things like that. I didn't really rent too much from Blockbuster, but what I did do is that they sold a lot of ex-rentals and DVDs, that was, and sometimes they did like 3 for 18 or 3 for 24 or something like that. And these were pretty recent movies, so it was quite a good deal. And that's where I picked up the Amityville 2005, and I watched it then. And I thought, okay, it's an okay movie. But when I rewatched it again on the bigger screen, there was a lot of things in there and a lot of things that I thought it was a much better movie the second time around for me. I think I might have watched it. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's the second time I watched it. And I actually thought it was really, really good. And I watched Melissa George's character. She played it really well. So did Ryan Reynolds and the kids. And is that one I would have in my collection? Definitely. Would I rewatch it? Definitely. And I recommend that one. And this was actually quite late at night, and my wife and I don't often watch the same things anymore. We used to watch for example, we watched that originally together, but sometimes we find our own interests, and my wife's got a little Kindle, she watches her stuff on, and I watch stuff on the TV. But she decided that she was going to watch that one with me, and it was quite late at night, so it was about 11 o'clock when that finished. I've got work. I try and get up about 7 o'clock for work, so I actually thought, right, they actually had, this was on Prime, I think I watched it on, and they actually had the original Amityville Horror came up, watch next, and I thought, I've never seen that, I'll just put it on. And to be honest with you, within 10 minutes I was asleep. So I woke up the next morning and my wife goes, I watched that as well, and then I watched Poltergeist after that. So she'd been up till like 1:30 and watched them, but then got up earlier than me. So I don't know if she does it, but there you go. But I then thought, I do want to watch the original Amityville Horror. I'll put it on tonight. So I watched it again, and the main characters are James Brolin, Margaret Kidder. It's from 1979, and who's the priest again in it? I've got it written down, but I recognise the priest from a lot of movies. Rod Steiger, and it's directed by Stuart Rosenberg. But I didn't see him directing anything else that I had seen or was interested in. That's not true. Cool Hand Luke directed that. And it's 118 minutes long. And the original Amityville Horror, I say, maybe this is to do with me seeing the 2005 one first and never seeing the original Amityville Horror. But for me, the 2005 one was better. The 1979 one, excuse me, I suppose I should tell you about the story. If you don't know about Amityville, basically, there's a house there that's built on a burial ground, and whole family slaughters each other, and then this new couple move in, and the father starts to go crazy. And in the original one with James Brolin, there's certain things that happen, like the priest's car and things like that, that go a bit crazy. But that doesn't happen in the 2005 one. But what I found about the 1979 one, I think they had this shot with flies, and they just kept repeating this shot with flies. They've obviously found out how to do close ups with flies and thought that was really exciting, and put it in the movie over and over again. And I just found it, too much. I was like, clearly somebody wants to do some camera work with flies here. So for me, the new one beats the original, and that's not to say the original wasn't a decent movie, because it was. But if I had to watch them over again, I'd probably choose the 2005 one rather than the 1979 one. But as I said, both solid movies. Would I have those in my collection? Yes, I would. And I don't have either of those in my collection. So, I sometimes say streaming's not useful, but it is for that. But there's annoyance about streaming. I'll tell you about that. I'll tell you about that later on. So, what did I watch after that? The next night, I put on Raging Bull, which is a film I've never seen before either. And that is a story of a boxer named Jake LaMotta from the 1940s who I think he got his shot as a champ, but he blew it. As a lot of sports people tend to do, they tend to spend all their money and then blow it and then disintegrate. I think it's something to do with the high of sport, and they just try and seek that out somewhere else, and they don't find it. So maybe that's why they blow it. But Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, great performances, and they are this the material in it where he gets married to a 15-year-old and he kisses a 14-year-old, it's off its time, is what I would say. The boxing stuff was great. I seen the splatters and things like that and the fights, but the way he treats his wife and things like that, I suppose it is a true story and they have to reflect that. Was it a good movie? Who's it directed by? Martin Scorsese. Everybody says it's a classic. Okay. Did I watch it to then? Yes. Do I feel the urge to rewatch it? No. And this is the thing with the classics. I always want to like the classics, but for me, if I was going to watch a boxing movie, I'd watch Rocky, I'd watch Cinderella Man before I'd watch Raging Bull. And I have to say, I felt the same way about Taxi Driver from Martin Scorsese with Robert De Niro in it. But I've already watched Goodfellas and things like that. But those for Raging Bull, and maybe it's because I've not seen it till this time. But for me, I know this might be controversial, and people will say it's a masterpiece, and it was well directed. It was great cinematography. There was good storyline in it. But for me, like Taxi Driver, I just found it not for me. So there we go. you watch Raging Bull, and then Only I could follow that up with a movie called Idiocracy, and it stars Luke Wilson. It's from, when is it? Put that right down. 2006. It's 84 minutes long, and it's from the director Mike Judge, who also wrote Office Space. I haven't seen Office Space, but that is one I want to watch. But the story of this movie, and I've seen a few clips of it again on YouTube Shorts, and that's why I decided to watch it, is basically a guy gets put in cryogenic stasis, and he's got average intelligence for the time when they put him into cryogenic. Coincidentally, his name's Joe, so average Joe. And he wakes up 5,000 years in the future, where the human race's IQ has disintegrated, and he's the smartest man on earth. Did I enjoy the movie? I did. Did I think it was the stupidest thing I've ever seen? Pretty much. And again, there were some cultural things in there that you would definitely not get away with now. Would I watch it again? Maybe. Would I want it in my collection? Possibly. Don't think so. I might have it digitally. So that's Idiocracy. It was just, I'm just trying to think how stupid this movie. You know, you get stupid movies and you think they're really fun. There were some bits in this that just weren't. There were some bits in it that were okay, but I just felt that it was too stupid, if there's such a word. So I say, because it's October, I have been trying to watch a few horror movies, and I went back after that to watch a movie on Amazon, and I felt it was a very good movie, and because it was a very good movie, I actually picked it up, and that is Edenlake. So the best way to describe this is a couple pee off the wrong teenagers, and I think I'm trying to use that language on my channel. Should I say annoy the wrong teenagers in a forest? The teenagers steal their car, and then they basically try and murder them. And what happens from there? There's a chase in the forest with a couple and all the kids after them. Brutal, brutal movie. Well worth a watch, I think. This is one of the most provocative and terrifying thrillers of the year. I thought it was good. It kept me watching throughout. And if this is a brutal one, so if you are, squeamish or something like that, I wouldn't go to watch it on there. And it came in a nice red case. I think I got it off eBay and paid £6 for it, something like that. What did I write down about Edenlake? Okay. I wrote down about Edenlake the stars, which is Beth from Yellowstone, which is Kelly Riley. Obviously, there's Michael Fassbender, so they're the couple, and the pursuer is mainly led by a Jack O'Connell in an early role, I think, like that. And what did I write about the director? James Watkins. He directed Icarus File, which I've seen, but it was a long time ago, and he also directed Women in Black with Daniel Radcliffe. I've got that, but I haven't watched it, not for a long time. So that was the first 6. So that, for a week, that's pretty good. 6 movies. But last night, so we're including last night in the week, I popped on Pacific Rim in 4K because Larry, as you know, very kindly sent it to me. And I enjoy this movie. My wife enjoys it, but I think that's because Charlie Hunnam's in it, mainly. And it's directed from Guillermo del Toro. And I looked up a few of his movies, and he'd done The Shape of the Water and things like that. But this is the only one of his I really like. I haven't watched The Shape of the Water, so maybe I should follow that up with next week in The Shape of the Water. But the picture quality on this 4K was absolutely excellent. Reference quality, I would say. It was spectacular. It says on the back, spectacular. And the movie itself, I really enjoy movies like this, like Moonfall, Battleship, 2012. They're just my type of thing. I just find them so easy watching and so enjoyable. And this one is basically the story of there's a rift in the world, and these kaijus, big monsters, keep coming through them. So they build these big, huge robots called Jaegers that are designed to be piloted by two people in sync, and to defeat them. And they keep coming, these kaijus, and they keep having to defeat them. Charlie Hunnam's in a big battle, and he loses his brother, and he quits. And they try and build a big defensive wall to try and stop these, but it doesn't work. So the last remaining Jaegers have to go in and fight them and try and save the world. And there's Ron Perlman plays a great part in here. He plays like a kaiju parts dealer, like he's got like livers and stuff like that. And he plays a great little cameo in this. Maybe Charlie Hunnam got him that because he was in Sons of Anarchy as well. But this one's 131 minutes. I do thoroughly enjoy it. I've rewatched it already. Will I rewatch it again? Most likely. So I have seen. So out of the movies I watched, there is only two that I'd seen before, which is this one and Amityville 2005. But that must have been about 20 years since I've seen it. So hopefully this weekly watch has been a bit more informative than the last one. And I would like to hold up, all 7 of the movies to show you, but I only actually own 2 of them. I might own Raging Bull, but I don't know where it is. So I shall leave you to that. Tell me if you've seen these movies. What's your thoughts on them? Are my thoughts in line with yours? Are they different? If there's something you want to speak about on these movies, then please let me know. And I'll catch you next time. If you haven't subscribed and you aren't subscribed, do me a favour and just pop that button. It won't cost you anything. And it makes me feel better about myself. So thanks very much, guys. I'll catch you later. Bye.